Hi, welcome to a new show of mine. I like to call it Evidence, Interpretations, and Decisions, God's Presence in Our Lives. My name is Dano, and I look forward to sharing 4 thoughts with you today on reasons to believe in God. So before I begin, thanks for not clicking away already. Appreciate that. I hope my varied channel content has earned me the right to use my degree from Liberty University Theological Seminary. My goal is to teach in a way that churches no longer do. I hope to make these videos about 10 minutes long, and you can see I'm very low tech. I'm in my furnace room. I have poor lighting. I'm sure there's a tinny sound on my microphone, but you got to start somewhere. So here we go. Today's categories on reasons to believe in God are going to be the inevitability of faith, the limitations of science, there is something bigger than ourselves, and finally finding God. So let's get going. The inevitability of faith. Everybody cares about something. All right? We all care about something, even if you can't really prove it. Like, how do you prove love, for example? So there are things that we have in our lives that we just believe in to our core, but we can't prove it. Now, how does that work elsewhere? Well, atheists, they cannot prove God does not exist. They can't. They believe it, but they can't prove it. Now, pantheists, if you don't know the word pantheism, P-A-N, pantheism, go ahead and look it up. But they believe that God is in everything. People, animals, trees, everything. Well, they can't prove that. Pantheists cannot prove everything is God. So faith in something in our lives is unavoidable. Whether we have faith in ourselves only or we have faith in many gods or one God, faith is faith. It doesn't always mean we can prove it. All right? Sometimes people just believe in treating others decently. Like that's their whole kind of moral code. Just treat everybody nicely. We all have faith in something. So what we need to decide then is the evidence, our interpretation of that evidence, and the decisions we make from that. All right? Is the evidence pertinent to us? Is it pertinent in general? How do we interpret the evidence? How do we know if it's pertinent or not? Then how do we come to our conclusions and our decisions? So in the end, we decide who and what we believe in, regardless if we have the capacity to prove it. The inevitability of faith. So number 2 is the limitations of science. I've talked to people, try to talk to them about the Bible, and they, no, I don't need the Bible, I just believe in science. Well, when you say science, you're really referencing the scientific method. And the scientific method is all about doing experiments and repeating those experiments over and over and over, and then measuring the results. Then you come to a conclusion based on the measurements that you've taken from those repeated experiments. Now, science, they can create means. They can create avenues of good or means of good and evil, okay? But they cannot determine. Science cannot determine whether something is good or evil. They just kind of can create things that are good and evil. So, for example, nuclear power plants or nuclear bombs, environmental cleanup or environmental pollution, vaccines or poisons. See, science by its own definition, it cannot speak. It cannot speak to issues of morality or even humanity's origin or humanity's meaning. Science cannot argue for or against God. Science offers us zero moral guidance. Science cannot give us values to govern our lives. Now, science can't show us how the natural laws work in the universe, but they can tell us nothing about who we are, the origin of humanity, morals, values. Science cannot do that. Those are the limitations of science. At least some of them. Number 3, there is something bigger than ourselves. Now, if you just deny that God does not exist, okay, that's fine. It does not mean that the mysteries of your life suddenly disappear and everything is all fine and good. All right? Now think about this. We all use the name or a name of God in our lives just about every day. Okay? It could be in those unguarded moments of trouble, surprise. Sometimes people are just profane. You swear a lot. Some people might say a quick prayer for something. Our existence, humanity's existence, we constantly refer to some sort of deity, D-E-I-T-Y, deity. And just saying, well, this is a bad habit or it's a social vice is a very, very poor excuse. If we attempt to exclude God from our civil life and exclude God from the language of our civil life, it doesn't mean that we eliminate this longing that we all have. All right, we all are in the same place. All right, we all long for something more than our life has to offer, and we all have that place where our hearts are happy. I like to use the phrase, they pleasantly ache in the presence of truth and beauty and love. And even those who are angry against God, they're in the same place as those who believe in God. We all have this sort of singular, we all have a conscience, we all have a moral conscience, and actually we all have a shared singular moral conscience. And it's that this life is not as it should be. We all argue, and we all can argue, that this life is not as it should be. So, unwillingly, one cannot resist, one cannot deny that we are all drawn to something bigger than ourselves. Now, there is a gentleman a generation ago that was an atheist, went out to prove Christianity was rubbish and hogwash and nonsense crap. He wrote a book called Mere Christianity, M-E-R-E, Mere Christianity. His name is C.S. Lewis. All you have to do is read the first chapter, because he talks about, in much better language than I am here, that we all have this shared singular moral conscience, and that there is something bigger than ourselves. I'm going to move on to my next point. Finding God. Some people believe in God, but they do not take his existence seriously. And they kind of reason and they rationalize. They say, well, if God is so big and so great that he can create universes and galaxies, why would God care about little old me? Why would God give 2 bits about me, the individual? Well, believe it or not, God designs the experiences and the circumstances of our life as a calling card. He prompts us through the situation of our lives. Now, if you do recognize that and you reach out to him, he's going to be found. He's not very far away. He's a lot closer to you than you might think. The problem that most people have, or many people have, is that they do not want to reach out to God on his terms. They want to reach out to God on their own terms. That's not how God operates. Now, I'm no expert on God, trust me. But you cannot reach out to God and say, God, if you really exist, let me win the lottery. It's not how God works. All right. God promises us that he will be found by those who admit in that moment when we're alone and we're really kind of thinking about our lives and our situations, when we say to God, you know what, God, I do need you in my life. I do need to trust in you. I can't just trust in myself and what I hear in the news and my friends. It doesn't make sense. There is something more. There is something bigger than myself. And God, I do want to find you. And when you start to build that bridge, God's going to meet you. God will meet us anywhere, no matter where we are. If we reach out to God in that very serious, there is something more. I do need you in my life, God. He will meet you. He promises us that. Now, it might not be on your timetable or in the circumstance. He doesn't make circumstances disappear. We have to work through anything that we've created. He'll be there with us. Now, if you feel that you believe in God, you're not alone. Many people believe in God and they're not alone, but they have trouble with anything beyond that. All right, now it's very normal. So it's okay if you feel like that. If you have decided that the evidence points to God's existence, this is not the end. This is the beginning. You're now building a bridge to God. Like I said, it's a great place to be. It's normal that you're hesitant or scared, but let God speak to you. Maybe even ask God, hey God, I'm trying. Please help me try. Please help me do a little bit more each day, all right? And then be ready. He will meet you, I promise you. So, my time is up. I'm probably over. Thanks for listening. Subscribe to my channel. Hit the bell for notifications. Please tell your friends. I am very grassroots level in the beginning. I really want to spread this message. Yes, I have some other videos that will make you laugh on my channel. I do have these, and I have a whole bunch more that I'd like to do, and hopefully I'll do them every Sunday morning. Evidence, interpretation, and decisions. So thanks for sticking around, and then stay tuned for more of God's presence in our lives. My name is Dano, and I'll see you next time.